So, what is the definition of an experiment? An experiment is a test under controlled conditions in which the independent variable is manipulated by the experimenter in order to study the effects of that variable on the dependent variable. What experiments allow us to do is to hold under control or hold constant all of the potential external factors. Remember, we talked about that example of age being that intervening variable between shoe size and math skill. So in an experimental model, what we're trying to do is to control the environment of that study in order to control for or hold constant all of the other variables that are part of it. In your classical experiment, you have a treatment group, also called the experimental group, and a control group. And these groups are believed to be or must be seen as equal before the independent variable is manipulated. Often they are assigned randomly to the control group or the experimental or treatment group, so that there's no reason to believe that these two groups differ at the beginning of the study. This type of research allows us to make causal inferences about the effect of the independent variable on the dependent variable, because if the groups are the same before the experimental treatment or condition is applied, then any outcome to the experimental group is seen as coming from that particular input, right? So if everything else being equal, any change we see between the control group and the experimental group at the end of the study are then explainable by the treatment or whatever activity is being associated with the experiment. When we're doing experiments, there are some things that are better suited to the experimental method. We've talked about how certain things are better for surveys, certain things are better for interviews. So projects that involve limited and well-defined concepts and propositions um, are good for experiments, because we can really control what's going on and we can clearly define all of the different pieces that are part of it. And it's better suited to explanatory than descriptive research, because we're trying to explain how A affects B. And it's pretty good for studying small group interaction. While we typically think of experiments as taking place within laboratories, social experiments are often natural experiments, which can take place in the course of social events, or our field experiments that are similar in nature. So we're going to spend a little time in the next videos talking about the different kinds of experiments, natural experiments, classical experimental models, and so on.